So good evening, everyone. If you're joining us online or in the room, it is Wednesday, the 12th, our monthly meeting, as well as a public hearing, and we have some board business at the end. First, announcements. The pedestrian tunnel in the next few days is going to be closed for repair, so plan ahead. This is another one of the FEMA projects. This tunnel was damaged during the July 2023 storms. This is filling in openings in the wall so that we don't have water incoming from the sides. Next step after that will be to install the storm doors at either end to keep the water out, restore them. They were once there. We have the hardware from where they were. Remember, the historic district review works here. But that means you should plan ahead. The tunnel is, you'll need to either go over Lund Terrace or into the station and over the overpass within the station, either by the stairs or the elevator. And it will be closed until about December 1st. And I am happy to report that we have photographed the mural, and the muralist, Mary Michalakis, will be restoring the mural in the spring when it's warm enough to paint again. So thank you for all that. Second, asked to remind folks that clearing sidewalks of leaves, snow, ice is the responsibility of the property owner. Whether it's a rental property or a private home, you're responsible for making sure the sidewalks are clear, and should not be blowing leaves into our storm drains, because that causes us problems when we then have stormwater trying to get into our drains. So being mindful of that, particularly for the folks in the village who might have mobility issues with objects on the sidewalks. Second is the opportunity to add or modify agenda items. I would like to table 2 items under item 5, board business. A glow, until we have, I don't anticipate not approving the event, but we just need to work out some of the details for public safety that night. So I'd like to move that to next week's agenda. And then table the managed tech initiative related to the phones in the office. We need some clarification on one of the bids. So I'd like to table that as well. Make a motion to table those 2. Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, next is moving to hearing. So this is a public hearing on chapter 126. I just want to set expectations for this evening's meeting. We have received a goodly number of comments related to the planned installation of EV chargers on High Street in the southeast corner of McConville Park. The installation is not on our agenda tonight. It is not a subject of public hearing. It's not part of the chapter change 126. What is in the code update proposal regarding EV chargers and is subject to public comment tonight is adding a violation for parking non-electric vehicles in electric vehicle parking spots. So how did we get to where we are tonight? We held a public hearing for multiple updates on both chapter 108, streets and sidewalks, and chapter 126 on the 8th of October. We closed that public hearing and we tabled our vote until the following week. Or sorry, 2 weeks. On the 22nd, was that next meeting, the trustees discussed several of the points raised in the public hearing, particularly relating to High Street, and decided to hold another public hearing, which we then scheduled for tonight. The backup materials for the public hearing were published on the village website on 10/29. All of the items reviewed in the first public hearing, we did also approve 108 on the 22nd. We tabled 126 and approved 108, so that one's done. But of the items in 126 that were reviewed in the first public hearing relating to no parking areas, stop intersections, metered parking, and seasonal parking, they're all the same. What has been modified and what we're particularly focused on tonight is a couple of things. Rather than making all of High Street, the east side of High Street, available for free public parking, as was originally proposed, we are proposing making only one block that between Haldane and Northern available for parking. So a smaller area of that street. We clarified the language relating to portions of High Street intended to remain resident parking only, which is the majority of the street, and the small portion being proposed for free public parking. And last is extending no parking on the west side of Fair Street from Main, the west side, the riverside, from Main to the village boundary, except in the municipal lot and on the mayor's park lot, which is being striped, by the way, tomorrow. And we also provided visuals, which I will go through quickly. They are in the packets. They're available on the website. Just hold up a small item. This is the area around High Street. The blue being the existing residential parking. The purple areas are what is existing free public parking. The red areas are the current no parking at any time. Orange is proposed no parking at any time on Northern. And the yellow area here is the one small block proposed for public parking, free public parking. Drilling down into the Northern Avenue area, closing in, here's High Street here, Church Street. Changes on Northern Avenue. The red is the current no public parking. The yellow is proposed to become no public parking. And the last is a visual for Fair Street. We're proposing that all of Fair Street from Main to the village boundary on both sides be no parking except for the municipal lot and the Haldane Mayor's Field. I'm sorry, the Mayor's Field lot, Mayor's Park Field lot. So, questions from the board or any items to raise before we open public comment?
No.
Okay. So, so the ground rules, the purpose of public hearings is to listen to what members of the public have to say. It's not a debate between board members and the public. You are welcome to make comments tonight. If there are things that need clarifying, we may do that, but we are not obligated to respond to public comment tonight. I would just ask that we all treat each other with respect and courtesy. And I want to remind everyone that public comment is one element of our considerations. So with that, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would anyone like to be recognized? We'll start in the room first. Let me establish some rules. We'll start with folks in the room first, and then we'll go online. 3 minutes each. Is there did folks sign in already?
If you're up for that.
I didn't say.
Go ahead. You can
If
have
you want to speak.
I
How
don't know.
about just to ask a question?
Michael, may I bother you to hand me that? I didn't actually see that it was out when you're done. Yeah, when you're done. Yeah. Thank you, Mike. I didn't know that you put that out. Okay, so some folks in the room have signed up, so we'll hear, welcome to the November 12th, 2025 monthly meeting and public hearing. I guess I need to go through all of the introductory material again? No. Okay. So we were about to open public comment and Ms. Skibold was about to speak and she has been patient.
Open the meeting.
Could we say what time it is now?
It is now 7:33. We have opened I made a motion to I've opened the meeting. Now I am making a second motion in this recorded session to open the public hearing. We do apologize for everyone joining us online for what you experienced as well. Would someone like to second the opening of the public hearing? Andrew has seconded. All in favor? Aye. And now a very patient Ms. Skibold. Hey, Brian. Please, we welcome your comment.
I'm a parishioner. I identified myself and you have my address. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes,
No problem. You don't need to.
I'm a parishioner at Our Lady of Loretto Church. And I attend masses there on Sundays and sometimes weekdays. Weekdays is not a problem. The parking lot is never full on a weekday morning. However, on Sundays, in the Roman Catholic religion, we go to mass every week, every Sunday. It's part of the obligation, mandatory obligation of being a Roman Catholic. Unlike Protestant sects, you can go if you want to go.
Could you please keep your comment to the topic of parking?
Yes.
Thank you.
And so we used to be able to park on the street, which relieved parking in the parking lot. And for an elderly person like myself, it was very convenient to be able to park on the street if need be. Although it was better to park in the lot because there's a handicapped elevator that takes you from the parking lot to the church itself. So now that there is no parking on the street, which was recently done while there was construction there, it's very difficult for an elderly person to find parking. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was early for mass, couldn't find a parking in the lot, looked on Garden Street, drove up Northern, back to 90, back through Main Street, and did a loop and started to go on side streets, couldn't find anything. And finally, I came back on Fair and parked in the municipal lot. And I was the last person to park in that lot. I didn't even realize I was now in a rush, and I didn't realize that I should have even been paying for that parking.
A minute left.
So I am requesting that you look into at least handicap parking during masses on Saturday, there's a 5 o'clock mass, and Sunday there is an 8, 10, and noontime mass. For those masses, if you're not allowing everyone to park, at least allow handicapped.
Thank you for your comments. And just to let you know, if you have a New York State authorized,
Yeah.
accessible parking pass, you can park on any street. You can park within the residential parking zone.
Well, I have a handicap parking.
So you
Is that what you're talking about?
with that sticker, you can park in any of the streets that are designated for residential parking. So you could have parked on Garden, Church, High, Rock, Stone. That parking pass allows you.
Spaces at all.
Okay, I just wanted you to know you have the ability to do that.
Yeah,
For
oh,
next time.
but I can't park in front of the church.
Well, that's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much. The clipboard, oh, here it is.
I can time it on my watch here.
My brother's got it here.
Oh, you got it, okay.
Keith Potensky, and just a reminder for everyone, pardon me, just a 3-minute comment period.
Thank you, Mayor Foley, members of the board. My name is Keith Potensky. I'm the attorney for Evan Hudson and his family. They reside at 19 High Street in Cold Spring, which is in the RO, Older Residential Neighborhoods Zoning District. The Hudson family crossed the street to use the Tiny Tots playground. He has 3 children, and the Tiny Tots playground is in McConville Park, directly across from their home. They use that park on a regular basis. The children's bedroom, as well as the family's living room, faces the park. We attached in our submission to this board copies of photographs taken from the Hudson family's home, looking across the street toward the park, so the board can see exactly what their view shed is currently. And we made several arguments, which I'll quickly summarize, but I would encourage you all to please read our letter and look at the exhibits in detail. Some of my comments, even though I know we're focusing on the parking tonight, do address the EV chargers as well, to the extent that we're pointing out that the 2 issues are really intertwined. but I'll try to focus on the parking, of course. The first point in my memo is that the village board is legally required to follow the state environmental quality review process. There's a doctrine of law called segmentation. We believe that the two matters, the parking and the EV chargers, must be considered together. Otherwise, it would violate the segmentation doctrine and render any decisions defective. The proposed public parking on High Street, as well as the accompanying EV chargers, would have a significant adverse visual impact. They would have noise impacts, traffic impacts, light impacts, parking impacts, property value impacts. There are alternatives, some of which I think the board has mentioned, but some of them also probably require additional diligence, like the municipal parking lot, where I understand there was an issue with a water main that may or may not have been located already. So we're asking the board to look further into some of those alternatives. The public parking is incompatible with the PR, Parks and Recreation Zoning District. The public parking and chargers are incompatible with the RO zoning district. They're incompatible with the local and national historic districts. They're incompatible with the village's comprehensive plan. And of course, we go into detail in our memo as to why that is. I'm just summarizing it for the board. There would be significant environmental impacts as a result of this work. There would be impacts to both the fire department and the police department. And we point out a lot of the other potential impacts as well. We want to thank the board for its consideration, and we're asking you to please adjourn and continue the public hearing to allow for additional comment. Thank you.
Under some diagrams, thank you. I just printed on really for quality. Keep under myself. I.
And we'll start the timer with 3 minutes.
Thanks. I'm Kate Van Voorhees. I own co-own Cold Spring Ceramics, and I'm a new co-chair of the Main Street Committee, which represents the stores on Main Street. I was asked to speak tonight about specifically High Street. And I'd like to say that we support making the east side of High Street 5-hour public parking from Main Street to Haldane Street. This change maintains strong resident parking options for High Street residents. Making this change helps sustain Main Street life and appears to be an equitable solution to alleviate ongoing parking demands. Making High Street East public parking means that everyone can utilize the spots. High Street residents and their friends, village residents, town residents, and yes, tourists. General notes: Main Street is the heart of the village, but also the town. Town residents have expressed frustration at being unable to easily park in their own downtown. For Main Street to thrive, we need seamless parking for local shoppers. Public parking is different from metered parking. Anyone can use it at any time, no app required. And then we just took some field notes. I don't know this as well as some of you here, and certainly there's vested interests by multiple parties. So we made this document specific to High Street. We can share it after. I don't have it digitally right now. But it appears that most High Street properties have a driveway for 2 or more cars. All homes additionally have at least 1 residential parking spot directly in front of their property. Many have 2, and some have 3 to 5 spots in front of their property. There are 5 homes on the east side of High Street. 3 have driveways with room for 2 or more cars. 2 have driveways with room for 1 car plus a garage. If residential parking is reduced to the west side of High Street, all High Street residents could still park 1 car near their home with multiple additional residential spaces remaining open. This would benefit the 2 nearby Main Street homes without driveways and other folks who need extra parking. We have walked High Street weekdays and weekend nights, and the streets look distinct from other residential parking streets. Minimal spots are utilized. It's not equitable at the moment. The High Street East sidewalk could be better maintained for pedestrian use. The narrower a street, the slower cars travel. We understand speeding is an issue on wide High Street, especially during rush hours. And a speed bump and striping could help with that. There's also 2 curb cuts at 19 High Street, and it looks like one goes to grass, and maybe that could be used as an extra parking spot. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the graphic. It's, I think it's useful for everyone to see. Maybe it's something that we-
Can I just make, thank you very much for this. I'll just make the one note that the EV parking spaces are just for 4 spaces along the park and not the whole building. But with appreciation for doing this.
The record reflects it. Okay, Father Letts. 3 minutes, sir.
Very simply, I'm Father Thomas Lutz. I'm pastor of Our Lady Loretto Church. I'm a resident of 24 Fair Street. After meeting with my parish council and input from many of my parishioners, I have about 400 families. They have strongly urged me to suggest that the accommodation for parking on Fair Street that's been longstanding for decades on Saturday and Sunday continue. So they feel it's a hardship, as one of our other parishioners just mentioned tonight and others in the past. So we actually consider respectfully to continue the same accommodation that's been in existence for a number of years for parking. So thank you.
Thank you, Father. Yeah. Oh, it's Michael Robinson. Sorry.
I really just have a question. What? I'm not sure, I came in late, so I didn't really see your map, Kathleen, but the Northern Avenue, I thought that, what's his name? His name is escaping me, yeah. This is the same map that I saw. So I thought that the issue that was pointed out in terms of emergency vehicles was all between 9D and High Street. And I'm wondering why that north side of Northern Avenue from High Street down to Church Street is also in this proposal. I thought it was, I didn't,
So let me clarify for
Okay.
you. So in last discussion and this one, and the officer in charge is with us, he has requested that the north side of Northern Avenue in its entirety be kept open for free access, so that remaining public parking
okay,
is on the south side, on the side where the streets are.
understood.
So
That's
one of
not
our-
what I heard him say in the last
What do you
meeting.
mean by him?
Well,
The officer in charge?
he was the officer in charge, because he said the issue is that first block south
I
of
understand, but
9D.
I'm telling you that what the proposal is, right now from Fair Street to just past Springbrook is already no parking. The officer in charge is asking to extend it from, it's roughly where Church Street is, the orange part on your sheet.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now, it's just cones. It's like a temporary thing, and I didn't know what, if you were, because, so my public comment there is that, like the church, that ball field is a facility, it's a public facility. And that is frequented in the spring by talking about people from Phillipstown and outside of Phillipstown, basically everybody, Little League. It is, I mean, frankly, you'll be doing me a favor by keeping that, because when I'm trying to have a cup of coffee on my porch on a Saturday or a Sunday, they're slamming doors and kids, yelling, I want to be the shortstop today. And it's kind of, it'll be a nice, change for me. However, I do think for the community at large, and also for the parking on High Street, I think the copious parking that I think was not completely correct. Well, give me a second, because I was asking a question. I know, but I was asking a
Everyone
question.
has 3 minutes. You
Okay.
chose to ask a question. That's the public comment period. It's questions and comments.
Okay, well, you've gotten my comment. I think it's a detriment ultimately for.
May I have the map back, please? That's my record.
Appreciate it.
Okay, Eliza Starbuck, welcome back.
Hi, friends. First of all, I just want to say, I think the parking plan is a fabulous success by this community. And so many people have put their effort into this, including myself and everybody. I don't know if he works on parking, but these guys and ladies. And, that you're still working on it and tweaking it, I think is absolutely appropriate, and it's the way to move forward, and it's always bumpy, and changing anything is hard. Nobody likes to lose something that they have that's special to them and lose it to the public good or to others. But I want to express my support of opening up egress, ingress, access ways, especially on narrow roadways, for emergency services and for safety. I do wish that, I'm gonna, at the risk of pissing off more people in the village at me over parking and my very beloved neighbors on High Street, I would say that I don't have a driveway. I park on High Street. I have the privilege of having a parking permit. And I look at that street and there is plenty of parking there all week long. And at nighttime is when you see the most, like how many cars really need to be on the street by residents, used by residents. And nighttime, Monday through Friday, the streets are more than half empty because the residents park in their driveways. On the weekends, when there's permitted parking, especially Saturday and Sunday, not so much Friday, everybody parks on the street. And I think that's a convenience thing. It's very easy to like not go into your driveway and just like be in and out and be able to run around town. And that's a fabulous privilege. And we're already so fabulously privileged to live here, in one of the most beautiful places in the Hudson Valley. And then to have the privilege of some residents over many others to have a permit is, like, sometimes in some places necessary, in other places not so much. And I would say personally, I don't think it's as necessary on High Street. I see that we're taking away a lot of free parking on Northern Avenue, and a little bit on Fair Street, but only some days of the week. And I think, it should be given back to the general public, to merchants who have employees who want to park somewhere, to Phillipstown residents who are coming to the village and still count this as their village on the weekends, which is when they have time to shop. Anyway, I hope that you will reconsider and put more parking for the public on High Street.
Thank you. And before I call the next person, Eliza has brought up something important that I think we all need to remember about the resident parking program. It is not intended to keep the public off public streets. It's intended to provide the opportunity for people who live in the residential parking area to have a permit to be able to park within the area. It is not intended to ensure that everyone can park directly in front of your house. It's intended to be an equitable way for residents who don't have driveways or have more vehicles than can fit in their driveways to be able to park within the zone. The intention is not to keep the public off public streets. Malia Marzolo. Hi.
Hi. So my comments are gonna be quicker. It's so nice to hear everybody's space in the village and how it impacts everybody. And I will say, residential parking, I think, is really important, and I have totally been for it. If I lived in the village, which I do not, I have a business in the village, 75 Main Street. So I cannot get a parking pass. I'm a taxpayer in the village and I can't get a parking pass. However, I do think there should be some language around getting parking passes. So my immediate issue in my space is that we are one of those streets on Rock Street that have 5-hour parking. The parking that is that 5-hour designation is really 4 spots on the side of the building. And a lot of things happen on the side of that building. It's an entrance to our business. We have over 30 employees there. And also our garbage gets picked up there for over a year. I've been picking up my garbage from the village, putting it into my car and driving it back because mostly residents with resident passes park there, sometimes for days. Recently, we have somebody park there for 6 days. They're back again today. They left, they gave us a little short reprieve for 12 days, and then they came and parked again. So we have essentially, and I know this was not the intention, privatized the village. And it's really difficult to run a business and just do normal things like get your garbage picked up when people are parking in those very, very few parking spaces that are those 5-hour parking spots. I am absolutely for making more 5-hour parking spots around the village. I also think that maybe there's just a consideration, or maybe when you're signing up for your parking pass, just a little bit of language around the etiquette. You know, just a simple consideration to your neighbors that a lot of these people do, they do have driveways where they can park. Something that I have witnessed that really has hurt me recently is people moving their cars out of their driveways in the weekends and onto the streets. And I see this because I work in the village every single day. I am down there. I'm giving kids their first jobs. We employ 30 people in that building. We are part of this community. You know, I don't live in the village. Again, I can't get a parking pass. I have $1,100 in parking tickets myself that I have just worked out. So hopefully, I said I wasn't going to be that long, and then I was longer. So hopefully there's going to be some etiquette and some consideration to, you know, all of us, that we're all here for each other.
Thank you. Is there anyone
Thank
else
you.
in the room that wishes to make public comment before we turn to folks who are joining us online? Oh, wait, the hand up earlier was Eliza, who's in the room now. Is there anyone online who, no, that's the pointer.
Yeah.
It's Fran, hello?
Okay, I'm unmuted, I believe.
Yes, you are. Yep,
Okay, hello, everybody. I haven't quite got the video up, but
that's okay. We've actually restricted it, I think, or maybe not. Brian's here.
okay. Anyway, I will try to make this fast. I have added a few things since I've been listening to the conversation, so I'll make it as quick as possible. First thing regarding what Michael was talking about, I believe if you listen to the YouTube from the last public hearing, you will specifically hear Officer in Charge Jackson correcting himself and saying that the parking that he wanted restricted on Northern was only from High Street to 9D. He corrected himself. He said he didn't need it all he needed was from 9D to Northern. Okay, so that's
Let's, sorry, Fran, we're gonna pause the timer. I just want to make so we don't keep going down a path that's incorrect. The proposal is on the north side of Northern Avenue from 9D to Fair Street.
I'm sorry, I meant from High Street to 9D. I apologize.
Right, so hang on, please. I would just want to get it clear and then we'll give you your time back.
Okay,
The opposite side of the street, the south side, Officer Jackson is asking from 9D to High Street, the south side, not the north side. So are we clear now?
I understand what you're saying, but I could not get the YouTube. I couldn't find the YouTube.
When you're done with your comments, we'll have Officer Jackson clarify because you're the second person who's asked the issue. So we'll
Okay.
give you your time back. You have 2 minutes and 27 seconds left.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Secondly, on High Street and specifically to Eliza's point, I feel strongly that this, High Street being a residential street, those people on Main Street who are residents of Main Street who have permits, who have had to pay for permits, like Eliza, have the ability to park on High Street when they can't park on Main Street because Main Street they have to pay for on the weekend. So keeping High Street as a residential parking street, is helpful for the people who live on Main Street and have paid for permits. End of the High Street issue. Now to the church issue, and I will make this as brief as I can. A couple of things. At the last meeting, we specifically heard a village resident who drives, I believe, a fire truck saying he never had a problem getting emergency vehicles down Fair Street. And I think that was one of the issues with the parking in front of the church. We also heard Officer Jackson saying that he had a problem getting a vehicle down. I don't believe it was Fair Street, it was another street in an emergency in the village. At a time when he told us specifically he was driving his private vehicle with no lights and no sirens, so I wouldn't even consider that an emergency vehicle. Fair Street has never been an issue for emergency vehicles when we had parking in front of the church. And just the last part of that being that for all the churches that we do have in the village, and there are many, most of them have parking lots. All of them, other than Loretto, have parking on the streets in front of the churches. Loretto was the only church in the village that does not have parking on the street in front of the village. And as the woman I'm sorry, her name skips my mind, said earlier, senior citizens and handicapped who can park in front of the church and just walks easily as I help other people getting up those stairs. It's a lot easier than trying to maneuver through the parking lot or wherever else you might be able to find a parking place to try to get to church. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else online? On this public hearing comment? Evan? I don't know if you were with us when your representative spoke for you here in the room. Are you wanting an additional period to speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great.
3 minutes, please.
Okay, so I'm Evan Hudson, 19 High Street. I'm here to oppose the board's plan to reclassify the east side of Northern High Street from residential to public parking. Contrary to what Mayor Foley suggested, the intent of the residential parking plan was absolutely to preserve the residential character of residential streets. What I'm hearing now is that High Street should serve as a spillover lot for tourists, as if it were a commercial parking zone. As the resident of 19 High Street, which was called out earlier, I want to address the suggestion that I use my front yard for overflow parking. I live in a multi-generational household, and yes, there are times when our own cars fill the yard. But that comment was telling. It reflects a willingness to sacrifice residential quality of life for commercial convenience. We keep hearing, look at all these empty spaces, we should fill them. But that's the point of a residential parking plan, to keep tourist cars off residential streets. A peaceful block is a policy success, not a failure. What is inequitable is asking residents to shoulder the burden of customer parking. And frankly, it feels intrusive when business owners walk our streets, strategizing how to shift commercial overflow into our neighborhood. In fact, I would support changing the east side of Northern High Street, that's the side lining the Tots Park, to no parking. That would actually add residential spots elsewhere under the residential system, just the way the math works. But changing it to public is the worst of all worlds. And this isn't a theory, this is a memory. Before the residential plan, weekends meant wall-to-wall cars on our block, circling, idling, parking, unloading, constant stream of hikers, day trippers, shoppers, restaurant goers, cyclists, treating our residential street as a base camp. Reclassifying this stretch means the chaos returns. And I think the real purpose is EV chargers. If the purpose is to install EV chargers, then the change is doubly inappropriate. Installing EV chargers on the Tots Park side of the street is wildly unpopular. There are 4 houses on this block. Every single house opposes EV chargers on the block. If the goal is to put in EV chargers, I would just ask why no board member and no person who allegedly supports EV chargers has offered to put them on their own block. It might be because they know what we know, which is that they invite visual blight, traffic disruption, and strangers lingering outside your windows. So let's preserve the peace and dignity of High Street. Thank you.
Evan. Just for clarity on the record, the board did receive 7 comments in support for EV chargers, 2 of which are from High Street residents. And I look at EV chargers. I live behind Town Hall. There are 2 chargers there. They were not subject to public hearing. No one has complained a peep. They don't make noise. I don't have light pollution issues. I look at them from 2 of my bedrooms. I look at them from my home office. And it's okay. They're my neighbors using them mostly. And like the case on Cedar Street, these are level 2 chargers. They're not fast chargers. So they're most likely going to be used by people charging overnight, residents who need a place to park. These aren't places where it's not like a Tesla factory charger where you have people going in and out all day long. So we do have an example of EV chargers in residential neighborhoods. And I want to make clear for those of you who weren't with us last time that the grants that we have for the EV chargers, one from NYSERDA, we have the purchase is covered by NYSERDA grant, and we have a 90% installation grant from Central Hudson. The requirement of those grants is that the chargers be installed on property that the village owns and controls. So that limits our locations. We have looked at 4 other village properties, and for a variety of reasons had to rule them out. If Laura wants to address further why, she has been the person working on this for 4 years. But I just wanted to raise that contrast with Cedar Street and let you know that we have gotten support. Is there anyone else who care to make a comment?
I have a question to Laura then, I guess. Is there a time limit for this grant?
Expiration. My question. Yeah, the grant ends in 2026.
So you have to figure it out soon.
And, yes, that's right.
Okay, so we'll leave I'd like to make a motion to leave the public comment period open until the end of the meeting. So that if there's anyone else who arrives late, we recognized everyone, Fran had an opportunity to speak. We'll wait till everyone has an opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. And if no one else has, we can call on Fran again. But for now, we are moving on to other parts of our agenda. So do I need a motion to keep it open? No, you just keep it open till the end. Okay, thank you, John. Okay. Monthly reports. I would make a motion, given all that is on our agenda and the amount of time that we spend discussing them, to accept the department the department reports as submitted. I'm sorry, I'm realizing the treasurer wanted to be on and available in case anyone had questions. Yeah. And we will be coming back to the water and wastewater report as a separate item in next week's agenda when we have more time to discuss the DCC inspection report. Good night, Eliza. The inspection report and the follow-up that we need to have around it. So we'll come back to Michelle if any, does anyone have questions for Michelle?
No.
Then I would make a motion to accept the reports of the standing boards and committees as submitted. They're available online. All in favor? Aye. We don't make Michelle. We don't, John. I just. Go ahead if you'd like to. Go ahead. You want Michelle, or do you want to talk about it?
I would be better if Michelle did, if she's available.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Marjorie, for that reminder. We'll give Michelle time to come back. And good night. local government partners, make a motion to accept as submitted from the town of Phillipstown. Second. All in favor? Aye. Are there any reports from Board of Trustees while we're waiting for Michelle?
Transportation Alternatives Program grant application was announced today, due mid-March. So we'll be working hard to put in an application with the town for our plan for sidewalks on 90 north to Little Stony Point. Very exciting, and great to see that the state will be putting.
It's really hard to see. That was not gonna come through.
What is that again? What is it's a grant
So
or?
it's a grant, it's federal funds that go through New York State Department of Transportation for traffic transportation alternatives, like walking, biking infrastructure, and that's what we have in mind for the for sidewalk, extending sidewalks on 90 up to Little Stony Point. About in previous meetings, but we were waiting for the grant to be announced.
Basically, it's how municipalities draw down money from DOT. You apply for a grant to do work on their roads. So,
Good night, thank you.
good night, Father. Okay. Do we have Michelle? Not yet. Well, we will keep going.
Soon as well.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. No, we need some, it's not my fault that my bladder decided to.
Thank you for coming in, Miss People. Have a good night. Okay, now we've got Michelle. Thank
Marjorie's there.
I'll let Michelle.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So I need to.
That's okay. Okay, so Michelle, thank you for coming on later in the evening. You want to just give us an update on where we are with the bands?
Hello. Still muted. You are.
She's trying.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, there we go. It
We
wouldn't let
nearly-
me unmute.
That's okay, and we nearly passed over. So thank you to Marjorie for the reminder that you needed to give us an update on the bands.
Yeah, so quick update. Usually every May, the village does an annual ban for water and sewer projects. They were done in the past, but we renew the ban until we're ready to go to bonds. So this year for the Fair Street, pending the FEMA reimbursement process, the village decided to do bond resolutions, to do borrowing for the short term to buy us some time for cash flow. So the ban here went out to bid. It's for the period of November to May, so it's roughly 6 months to catch us up to the annual cycle. It's $2.2 million at 3.44%. M&T won the bid. They also won our last ban bid. So given that it's a shorter period and about 1% less than we budgeted for, there should be some saving. There'll be about 50% savings from the budget for this. And then once FEMA approves the project and starts the reimbursement, come May, that will decide how much we have to borrow moving forward. So it's 2.2 million. If FEMA comes in at, let's just say, $1 million, then we would only have to reborrow 1.2 and then slowly pay that off until we go to bonds in 5 years.
Great. And there is just to make sure we're clear, we have to, now that we have the Fair Street money obligated, we have to request reimbursement, which is a separate, but they don't automatically send it to us. We have to request reimbursement. It is obligated for us, but we have to ask for it on that project, unlike the less than $100,000 project where it was just put into our accounts. This one we have to draw down from.
And my understanding too, from talking to Dishes and our contact, that FEMA will cover the interest on these short-term bans for the purpose of cash flow.
It's a big relief.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else for Michelle or anything else from Michelle?
I just wanted to know, Michelle, that's interesting what you say about, I wasn't aware of that, about FEMA reimbursing the interest, because my question was gonna be, is there any sense to take out a longer term loan at a lower rate, because it's a longer period, and thus save more on interest, and then when it comes to May, and we pay back the FEMA portion, we've actually paid less over the long term, but if they're gonna pay the interest anyway, it's moot.
Mhm.
Just would also like to say Michelle's documents are in the agenda, both online and in this batch here, if you want to review any of the documents.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Okay, I had a couple quick updates. We are working on, this will be our last monthly report submitted by this justice clerk. And we are working with NICOM and the, not allied courts, it's New York Unified Court System, to make sure that we're, hiring a new court clerk in accordance with all the rules we need to follow. So that is in process, and I'll have more on that next week. And also I just want to let you know that the folks who had volunteered to work on the Main Street tree pits, we did get together and meet last week and set out a plan. It needs I have a draft of it. I need to look through it, and then I'll share it out with the board and we can have a discussion from there, but they are committed to helping get some more regular maintenance on the tree pit set up. So more for that next week. All right, anything else from any other trustees before we? Now moving on to board business. The first item, I would like to make a motion to terminate employee ID number 058, effective as of the close of business today, November 12th, 2025, for insubordination and job abandonment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next, we have an authorization from, or excuse me, a recommendation from Matt Krug, which has had the water and wastewater superintendent, has also had input from the roadways and facilities crew chief. As you know, Landon Wood has been working half-time highway and wastewater. The proposal is to move him full-time into wastewater, and to have him pursue licensing. That'll be part of item B2 that we'll talk about in a second. And then that would free up the shared position to hire someone new. Bugsy and Matt would both like to try to get someone with mechanical experience. And so with the cost savings of the previous pay rate to the proposed pay rate for Landon at 24 an hour, that gives us some savings to be able to put onto the half-time position. So looking for sort of concept approval on that. And as a broad proposal first, the shifting Landon over and hiring for the shared position. And then the second thing is that Matt and I would like to propose that we, in a departure from the way the village has operated in the past, that we pay for the training and the licensing, the testing that Landon would need to go through to become a licensed operator. In the past, when employees have wanted to pursue training, and we don't pay mountains of money. It's been hard for them to put forward the money to get through the process in an expedited way that gets them the credentials they need quickly. And so it doesn't happen. They get wrapped up in the day-to-day. So there is online availability through SUNY Ulster for Landon to be trained in the 3 courses he needs to take in January, February, and in May. And then the licensing exam, and that we have an estimate for that. We think it's about $3,000. So with those two, well, so A, how do we feel about that concept since it's departure?
we need someone trained, but, didn't you also mention of having an agreement that?
Yes, which
Like
is
that
not,
kind of
I wanted,
3-year agreement.
before we
Yeah.
wrote up, yes.
Yeah.
Before we wrote up the agreement, thank you, Laura, that was in exchange, right, that we condition the village paying for the training upon 3 years service to the village. I haven't had that draft, we do have it drafted, but I didn't bring it forward tonight because I wanted to make sure that everyone was okay with the concept before we brought the contract forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I would make a motion to incorporate village employee Land and Wood into the water and wastewater department and the position of full-time laborer with increased responsibilities at a rate of $24 per hour, at a date to be determined by the two departments, when he's ready to flip. And I would ask for your authorization to sign and enforce an agreement with Landon regarding what we've talked about tonight, covering the cost of coursework, tuition, textbooks, and licensing, up to $3,000.
And that's also part and parcel, part of that agreement is a conditional.
Yes, if you would like, we can pull that out until you have the
Well, I-
agreement in front of you next
Yeah.
week, so we can just do the hiring Landon at 24 an hour and then come back with the agreement next week for the tuition.
I mean, I'm aware of the agreement, I just, for the purposes of the public.
That's fine to do.
If they don't, they understand that we're.
So move on the first portion.
I'm not sure what it's.
That's a comment from Michelle regarding Landon's pay scale.
Okay, I'm not able to read this during a meeting. If she wants to come on the board, she wants to come back on the meeting, she can. But it would be privileged for just me to be sitting and reading it. Okay, sorry. So two things happening at once.
I think, just to clarify, my understanding is that there'll be some conditionality, that's of the essence of the agreement, and if that's the case,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that, I don't need to come back with it at a later point.
Would you like to see the contract before we proceed? Would you like to just approve the appointment tonight? Are you comfortable appointing and authorizing you to sign the contract? I don't feel
That's
strongly either way.
I'm fine with that. If, as long as
Authorizing the
we're,
contract.
if we're laying out the key elements of it here and authorizing you to sign it, that's fine.
Okay, and does Michelle want to come back on the meeting before we vote? Or we can wait again? I just want to make sure it's nothing that would
No, that's
impact the rate.
3 dot.
I think it was actually my phone recording your comments.
Oh, all right, okay.
Now we're getting really crazy.
In that case, let me restate the motion. I would make a motion to incorporate current village employee Land and Wood into the water and wastewater department at a rate of $24 per hour, as soon as the departments are ready to make the transition. Let's make that as the first proposal. That is my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next, if someone else would make it, because it's authorizing me.
Authorize the mayor to sign and enforce an agreement with Land and Wood, regarding specified professional coursework tuition from SUNY Ulster, textbooks, materials, and associated licensing exam up to $3,000 prior approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's great. And Landon is very excited about the work. Great. So, next is the confirmation of permanent appointment of the part-time school crossing guard, Deborah Muir. She had a 2-week, training period, which she completed satisfactorily. And we have great feedback from Haldane and from families to date. You need a vote on that, or just a confirmation that she has passed her?
I think in the previous resolution, we made her employment conditional on successful training already. So if you agree, but that's what we did, and I think
We did? We did a second motion. Okay. Okay, next is events. The Cold Spring Turkey Trot. has been reviewed by the events coordinator and the officer in charge. It is recommended for approval, 9 AM Thanksgiving morning. Is there someone here from the Helen Foundation? Hi, oh, hi, how are you? Do you have we have your map?
I'm just gonna answer any questions if you have any, but it's the same as the last 2 years and we're excited to have it if you'll give us your approval.
I don't see any changes, so I see much more specificity about where you have your volunteers working, which is a good thing. And OIC has already said okay to this. I believe Matt is still on. He did report this afternoon that he said he agreed to it. So any discussion from the board? Okay, so I'm gonna make the motion.
May I answer, Chip? Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Matt. I haven't seen an animated thumb before. Nice.
This might want to note for the record that Matt did a thumbs up.
No, yes, for the record, the officer in charge gave a thumbs up.
I could ask him to speak words for visually.
I think he may be one of his at-home devices does not have a mic.
Okay. All right, so for the record, thumbs up was given to his approval for the turkey trot to the Haldane School Foundation.
I make a motion to approve the application for the Cold Spring Turkey Trot from the Haldane School Foundation, which will be at 9 AM Thanksgiving morning.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Whoever just did that gobble.
We're gonna need you in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, second is approval for the tree lighting on December 7th. This also has been reviewed by the OAC and the events coordinator, and all is in order as per every year. Discussion?
Do we need a thumbs up from?
Closer pending arrival on December 7th.
Fabulous. Excellent.
So I make a motion to approve the application for the bandstand tree lighting on Sunday, December 7th, on 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and we have tabled item D3, so we're on to E. This is a renewal of our standing intermunicipal agreement with the town of Phillipstown, so that we have backup if we get hit with flu or COVID or any of those other things that have happened to us in winters past, that Phillipstown will cover us and we are available to them if they need us. Discussion. I'd like to make a motion.
I make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Phillipstown and Village of Cold Spring regarding snow plowing backup for the winter of 2025-26.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We have tabled managed technologies until we have another bid. Bills, Andrew.
Just need me to make a motion?
Yeah, on the batch number and the amount.
Yep, I make a motion to approve bill batch number 8199 in the amount of $31,295.47 US dollars.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to pay for them in Canadian dollars. Approval of minutes. We have a whole bunch.
Mike doesn't think that's that.
Oh, sorry. This is Canadian in our midst. So we are being asked to accept the prepared minutes from the clerk of, can we do this all in one go? A series of minutes?
Yeah, just make sure you specifically list them out.
So 7/24/24, 10/16/2024, 10/30/2024, 1/29/2025, and 11/6/2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, and we'll see, is there anyone else remaining who wishes to speak on chapter 126? Seeing none, I will, oh, no, we decided earlier that we will let me make clear, earlier when we had the technical difficulty, we recommended that we keep it open. Everyone who had to go off was able to come back on.
Correct. So you could either close it tonight, or if you want to be extra safe, maybe keep it open for written comments for like 7 days.
Okay,
That way, if there's somebody we missed that didn't get back on,
okay.
they can always watch the video between now and next week and submit whatever comments they want. So closing it for oral comments, but keeping written
Open for
comments
written.
open for 7 days.
How do board members feel about that?
That's fine, as long as it's before,
Well, if we do 5 days, it gives us till Monday, and
Yeah.
then we can review them
Yeah,
before our
you
meeting
next
on
week?
Wednesday.
Oh, you meet
yeah, we're meeting next week.
I thought you guys were only meeting twice a month.
Well, Thanksgiving.
If you want to come in on Thursday with us, that's fine.
So I would make a motion to keep the public hearing open until, for written comment for
Just for
5
written
days,
comment.
only for written comment for 5 days. That's my motion.
That's 5 regular days, not business days. So
Yeah,
there's-
calendar days.
Yeah.
To address to the village clerk.
Addressed to the village clerk. Let me say that again, so it's all clear for the record. I make a motion to close the oral portion of the public comment period on public hearing period for chapter 126. To keep open the record for written comments submitted to the village clerk within 5 calendar days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Is there any discussion that the board would like to have on that topic further? Or do you want to sit? Myself would like to consider some of the items that were stated
Yeah.
tonight.
I do just really a general comment. I
Go ahead.
just want to thank the public for all of the comments that they made. That's one reason we are to continue to consider what they said. I just think in general, as a general point, in a small village, there's a finite space. And all around sacrifices have to be made in both in terms of the benefits that you may receive from that and also sacrifices you may have to make along those lines. So in consideration of the whole issue, whatever anyone's particular interest is, as regards parking, I would just urge people to take a step back and think about it in terms of the broader picture of the spread of benefits and losses that you may experience within that whole process.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Andrew. Anything from you? Okay, then I will make a motion.
One other thing, aside from the parking, there were some concerns raised in the last meeting about parking enforcement, and I think there's been some progress in that respect, right?
We met on Thursday last and hired another parking enforcement officer. It was a public meeting. It was recorded. We approved the minutes for it tonight. So they are in the packet. And there are 2 more people that Matt is doing final interviews with.
That's great.
Yeah, we need it because it has an impact without them. It's an impact that people can feel on streets, and we're aware.
Good.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Hi, Brian. Thanks.